Okay, cool. So we're running 1 minute past 6, just because of a little bit of technical difficulty. But I'm going to introduce the awesome Gada, who's been training with me for a few months now. I've known her for a while through obstacle racing. She's going to present her story, which the title is "It's Never Too Late." So over to you, Gada.
It's never too late. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be here. So this is my story. It's never too late. A lot of you know that I was originally born in Iraq, Baghdad. Mark the dates, October 12th, 1978. My parents were very well educated, yet they were very conservative and very traditional. My mom was a high school principal. My dad was a managing director of a private company. They both worked very hard. My dad, we hardly ever saw my dad. He was basically at work all the time. I was the youngest of four. Well, I had two brothers and one sister, so I was the fourth child. Went to public school. Basically in Iraq, all schools were public. Everybody was equal. The main focus was, the core classes, which were, science, math, and English and Arabic. So there was no extracurricular. There was, PE classes were almost non-existent. Teachers didn't even show up. Sometimes boys actually just played soccer most of the time, and girls would, study for the next exam and braid each other's hair, or just do girly stuff. What was expected of me and girls in general, actually, just to be good in school, be good girls, look neat and clean, have their hair, made up, and wear dresses, learn how to cook, just stay at home and be a good girl, which is fine for some people because that's what girls did. They played dolls and they had tea parties. I absolutely wanted nothing to do with that. I wanted to be out in the street playing, having like bloody knees. But I was not allowed. I would sometimes just, sneak every once in a while outside and play. And then when I would go outside and play, people will not let, the little boys, they would not let me play because I was a girl. And every once in a while, they would feel bad for me and just let me join. Or I would bribe my brother. Would give him like 15 candies for 15 minutes of play with his friends, things like that. So, but then one day we moved to a new neighborhood, and I thought that was the perfect time to change my identity. So we moved, and I introduced myself as Ali, a little boy named Ali. And it was the best time of my life. It lasted maybe 3 to 4 days. And I was, in control. I was it. So one day we actually were racing down the street, and there were 4 of us, and this kid cheated. He started early, so I beat him up. And of course, he went home crying, and I went home, scared. Few minutes later, his mom came knocking on the door saying, your son Ali beat up my kids. What's up with that? And she's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a son named Ali. She's like, yeah, that little boy that just went in. And she's like, that was my daughter. So the mom, actually, she was so disappointed. And I think that boy got beat up twice that day because he was beaten up by a girl and couldn't stand up for himself. So basically, I wanted to be a boy, not because I didn't like being a girl, but because boys had so much more fun than girls. So formative years, by the age of 9 to 11, I had to start acting like a girl. It's not like I wanted to, but it was expected, and for the family's reputation. I kept sneaking out once in a while and, playing in the backyard, stealing my brother's bicycle, running around the streets, just wanted to be outside. I remember when I was growing up, I think it was 1988 when that was the Seoul Olympics in South Korea. And I would go into my parents' bedroom and pretend that their bed was actually a gymnastic ring. And I would jump around and, until I would fall and, hit myself. And I used to visualize, stand on the headboard and imagine it was actually a podium and people, cheering for me. and just until I snap out of it or get called to prepare the dinner table or something, and get back to reality. So that was my childhood, basically. I love my brother. He's actually my best friend, but I hated him when I was growing up because I envied his lifestyle. He had it all. He was part of a ping pong league, and my parents were his biggest support. His coaches, his club. He was even, rewarded by the government. They gave him, athletic clothes and shoes just for participating. That just killed me inside. My mom started feeling bad for me, and she made me join a ballet class. And then when my dad found out, he was like, my daughter's not growing up to be a dancer, forget it. And so I didn't attend not even one class. So it was all about, being politically correct and following like the girls' footsteps, and following my sister and following my mom. And then when I was around 11, the Gulf War has started. That did not stop me. I still played outside in the street. We had lockdowns, we had to evacuate. There were some shootings in the streets, and actually I brought this bullet right here. If you guys can see it, that bullet almost killed me. I think I was 11 years old. So I kept that bullet with me till this day today. So at that time, my parents felt it was khalas, it was unsafe. We need to leave the country and move to Canada. My oldest brother was living there at the time. And so we did. We went to Canada, but we could not take anything with us. We just left with, a couple of suitcases, and that was it. We went to Canada, and I was actually in a country where girls were encouraged to do sports and be athletic and express themselves, but we could not afford it. So it was just basically school, home, and that's it. That was the necessity that we had, to live by. As time went by, high school and teenagers were absolutely the worst time of my life. My mom was sick, and so was my dad. And my brother and I had to work and support. So life basically for us was school, work, and home care. On my way to work, usually we would pass by a soccer field, and I would see all these girls playing soccer, and I just wanted to be part of that team so badly, but I couldn't. I had to take care of my family. And then on the way back, I would pass by a gym, and I see all these people running on the treadmill. And again, I was like, one day. By the time I reached senior year, my mom started to get even sicker. 2 months after graduation, she actually passed away. And I think less than a year later, my dad passed away as well. So I was in a dark phase. I was very depressed. My eldest siblings were very independent, but all were married, but they had their own lives. So I felt very alone. I felt I had nobody at the time. And then my uncle asked me if I wanted to move to the States and go through university until I could work and support myself. So I did. And then 2 years later, I fell in love with my husband. We got married. We were going to travel the world and see everything. But then, surprise, surprise, I got pregnant with my son 2 months after we got married. So, 2 months before my graduation, I gave birth to my first child. And then at 21, I was a wife, a mom, and I had a business degree, but I didn't really do much with it at the time. 3 years later, I had my daughter, and then life was just basically, being a mom, taking care of my kids and my home and my husband. Then we moved to Dubai, and I was just so hungry to have a social life. I had my third child here, and I just got caught into the social life of, the elite parties, and got invited to all these sophisticated glam kind of lifestyle. I basically became a shopaholic. All I thought about was like, what am I going to buy next? What bag am I going to get? What's the newest collection? But at the same time, I was never happy. I was never satisfied. Whatever I bought, it was nothing, you know, there was this emptiness in my life. And then my little one started school. And so at the time, I met Ziad and his wife, Rowan. They were actually my best friend right now, both of them. And they're very simple people, and they love to have fun and just real people. So I remember when I would walk into school and, you know, dressed up all in designer clothes, she would look at me. She's like, let's see who threw up on you. Is it Coco Chanel or is it Gucci? So that was, and then after, you know, with time, she's like, you know what, why don't you join me to a this boxing club in El Quoz, and it's really fun. You'll love it. You'll like it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? What about my nails? What about my hair? Am I going to sweat? So one day I decided to join for the heck of it. And I did. And I absolutely love it. It's a rundown gym. The coaches were all fighters, real fighters. And I just got addicted to it. I did not care whether it was, you know, I was sweating, I was running outside in between, you know, all the warehouses. I loved it. Few months later, the coaches approached me and they asked me if I wanted to be part of their team to do the Desert Warrior Challenge. And at the time, I'm like, what's a Desert Warrior? What's an obstacle course? I don't know, like I've done like a 5 and a 10K on a road run, but I have never done anything like this. They said, just join, it's fun, we'll help each other out. So I told Ziad, Rose's husband, I'm like, do you want to join me? And he did. We went, and the boxing team were actually late, and Ziad, they were about 45 minutes late, and Ziad is like, how about we start the race without them? I'm not going to wait. How long are we going to wait? They got lost somewhere. And so we started the race. I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. I had no clue what the obstacles were. I couldn't do anything. Not even like the barbed wires took me forever to roll underneath them. So it was just, I didn't care about the time. I didn't care how long it took me to finish, as long as I finished. So when I crossed that finish line, I was so happy. I didn't know how long it took me, and it was the biggest achievement of my life at that point. I was bragging about it in front of everybody I saw. Even though I did like half, not even half, most of the obstacles I didn't even finish. I couldn't even do the monkey bars. But at the time, I was happy and satisfied, and I kept talking about it to everybody. Until 2 months later, I get this email from the Desert Warrior telling me that I came in first place for my age category and that I qualified for the World Championship in London. I could not believe it. At that time, I had nothing to show for myself. I was again, a mom. I dedicated my life and my time all to my kids. So I decided, and it was actually an emotional year because my son was graduating high school, the one that, you know, surprised us. And it was, and up until that moment, I was still, you know, caught up into the social life and everything. So I decided to go to London, of course, with the support of Ro and Ziad and my husband. And I was approaching the age of 40, and I wanted to show something for myself. I wanted to be proud of something, to accomplish something. So I did. I went to London, and we got to London. I was so intimidated by everybody, all the athletes. And it was a 15-kilometer mud run, 100 Ninja Warrior kind of obstacles. And these are not like the real Ninja Warrior, you know, jumping from wheel to wheel and from wall to wall. It was really hard. I was able to probably accomplish maybe 70 to 80% of the obstacles, but, you know, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the World Championship, the obstacle course World Championship, but they actually give you a bracelet. And if you do not, you can try to complete the obstacles and retry it as many times as you could. And if you can, then they just cut it off, and then you can continue the race, but you don't qualify for podium. So I gave up my bracelet. They cut it off at the Stairway to Heaven. And I kept running. I kept trying my best. At that time, I was done. I was tired. I was cold. I was hungry. But I finished. I finished the whole run. As soon as I crossed the finish line, my husband called me. He's like, I want to show you someone. So we walked like maybe to the last obstacle, no, the one before last obstacle, and I saw this lady. She was a 75-year-old lady trying to finish the last obstacle, covered in mud. She had bloody elbows, and she still had her bracelet on. I looked at her and just was so inspired, and I knew exactly how I wanted to age. I wanted to look just like her, you know, trying my best, inspire other people around me, and people were cheering for her, and it was just such an amazing feeling. So I came back to Dubai, and that's when my journey started. The first thing I did was declutter my closet. I took all my designer stuff and I just completely sold them. I got rid of everything, all my shoes, my bag that I invested in all these years, just got rid of them. And that's when I started racing with Spartan. Even though the first race that I did with Ziad, it was in Hatta, I didn't know what, you know, the blue medal, the red medal, or any of that meant. We did the super race, and I finished and they gave me the red medal. And I went and I was all happy. I'm like, I finished, you know, the race. And Ziad is like, why did you get the red medal? You're supposed to get the blue one, go back and change it. So I went back and I got the super medal, and I actually podiumed that race. So I was really happy. These are all my accomplishments and all my races that I've done over the past couple of years. There are too many to count right now, but the one that the dearest to me actually is the World Championship in Greece. And it brought back memories when I was on my parents' bedroom, you know, remembering all these people cheering for me. It was during the Parade of Nation when I was walking out the plaza. Ireland went in front of me, which was a huge crowd, and then India was behind me. It was all alphabetical. And I was the only woman, Iraqi woman, standing alone, raising the Iraqi flag. People were cheering for me so loudly. People were actually crossing the barriers, coming in, taking pictures with me. And just, you know, it was so special. And it was also special because I was the first athlete in Spartan history to raise an Iraqi flag in a championship. So that was just, you know, very, very special to me. These are also all, you know, after I did all the races, I wanted to educate myself. So I became a PT, I became a prenatal, postnatal certified trainer, and SGX certified trainer. I did the MC for the Abu Dhabi All Women's Race, and then you know, became a Spartan Global Ambassador and influencer for all these companies. And a lot of people ask me, what inspires me, what motivates me? The three things that actually motivates me are, the first thing is that I want to inspire women, especially Middle Eastern women. They think that, you know, I'm going to just be honest, we are not good enough. We are not capable of accomplishing what others do. And I want to prove them wrong. With hard work and dedication, anything is possible. And I've accomplished all these medals, and I've actually have more now. Within just a couple of years, I've made so many podiums. I've inspired so many people. Just putting the hard work and putting the effort and believing in yourself. And then the second thing that is age. People say, oh, I'm too old to do this, or I'm, you know, it's too late to do it anyways. Age should not be a barrier. It's never too late to try anything, to try anything you love or do. I've waited all these years. I had all these obstacles in my life, but at the end, now I'm living the life that I was meant to live. And the third one is actually my children. my children are my biggest motivation. Like I said before, a lot of kids, especially teenagers nowadays, they don't get inspired or motivated by their parents. But my children are. I remember when, actually, I've told this story so many times, and every time I say it, I get teary eyes. I did my first marathon, which was not the last one, but the one before, the Standard Charter Marathon. And I've never done anything beyond a 30 kilometer, which was with Marcus Smith when he did the 30 by 30 challenge. It was the last day that he actually ran to the Burj. And the 30th kilometer, I just got lost. They left me in the dust, and I just got lost, and called an Uber and caught them in the Burj. But other than that, I've never done anything long distance. So I decided to do the Standard Charter. I'm like, it's a piece of cake. There's nothing to it. Anyways, so I showed up, and you know how they say you go through those different phases. I'm like, nah, not me. I'll be fine. So the first 10 kilometer, it was fine. 20th kilometer, it was okay. And then the 32 kilometer, that's when I started shutting down. I couldn't go on anymore. My body was just beaten. I was done. I was crying. I just wanted to walk away. I was ready to sit on the curb and just, go home. And then, I'm sure you guys know the number has a chip in the back, and people at home, they can track you and see, where you are and everything. So my son in Canada, he was up at 2 a.m. in the morning and tracking me and noticing my pace. And he noticed that my pace was actually slowing down. So he knows that my watch is connected to my phone was connected to my watch. So he started sending me all these inspirational messages. And he said that you've come all this way. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You need to keep going. I'm not going to go to sleep until you finish your race. Keep going. I'm here for you. You're doing amazing. Just keep going. I think the last 10 kilometer of that marathon was my fastest. I finished sub 4. I think my time was like 3:55, something like that. So, and then, and then my daughter, the other day, she had an interview with Nike, and they asked her, who is your biggest inspiration? And without a doubt, she was like, my mom, and just things like that really motivates me, and they keep me going. And I know I'm being a role model for them. So that motivates me. That's my biggest motivation, to be honest. And that's about it. What's next for me? People say, so you've done all of this and you've done this. I'm still going. I'm going to keep racing for sure. I've signed up for the Spartan Trifecta World Championship in Greece again. They just chose me to be the captain because I'm the only one. And then I'm going to hopefully will do the Spartan World Championship. Of course, an Ultra Beast, I haven't done that, so I have to do that, 12-hour hurricane heat. And then with George's help, I'm going to hopefully make elite podium. I'm dying to make elite podium. And then for long term, just to be a Middle Eastern influencer, just to influence women in general, and to make them believe in themselves. The best thing, the best advice, and the final words is, you are who you surround yourself with, basically. I mean, if I haven't met Ro and if I haven't met Ziad, I would probably still be stuck in that materialistic life that I was living. So, and just believe in yourself. Don't let, your background, religion, age, gender, or anything be a barrier between you and your goals. Just go out there, do what you love to do, and crush your dreams. And that's about it.
Awesome work. Thank you so much, Gada. If you just want to unshare your screen so we can see everyone. And guys, if you have any questions for Gada, please put them in the chat now. I saw a couple, George was next to me, who asked questions, so I'm just going to read them out. So, where are we? Okay, yeah, so George basically put, did you feel under pressure when you moved to Dubai to live that Dubai lifestyle with all the glam?
It was actually both.
I know. Come.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually both. I was, when I was living in the US, there was basically no social life. So, and moving into Dubai, Dubai had the best of both worlds. It had, the Middle Eastern mentality, yet you have the fun and the parties. And so when I came here, I wanted to be part of that. But at the same time, it wasn't me. It was fun for a while. And then after a while, it did become sort of a pressure of, you have to socialize and you have to dress and you have to keep changing your outfits and you have to keep spending. So in a way, yes, it was.
Okay, cool. And a question from me. So you mentioned it at the end there about being the captain of the Iraqi team. And I mentioned this to you the other day as well, but are you going to make an effort to try and find some people to team up with? So when you go to Sparta, you can lead the team of Iraq?
I'll try. I'm yet to meet an Iraqi OCR athlete. I would love to go with somebody, it would be so much fun, but I haven't found anybody from Iraq yet.
So guys, this, if you know anyone, or if you are from Iraq, or if you know anyone from Iraq, reach out to Gada. You can be part to represent Iraq in Sparta.
Your captain.
She will be your captain. Question from Marcus. So if it was not OCR, do you think it would be something else? If so, what would it be?
It has to be with sports. I would probably be a runner or a tennis player. I used to play tennis a lot, but it's sports. It's nothing more, nothing else but sports.
Okay, and last one, and this is also from me. Oh no, wait, no, Marcus has put ultra life incoming. He wants you to do an ultra. That's what he's getting.
I probably do.
Okay, there's another question. I'll ask mine first, and then Ads has just put one in. My question is, can we start calling you Ali when we get back to class?
What's that?
Can we start calling you Ali when we get back to class?
You could, I guess.
Ads has put, did you struggle to let go of the old Gada whilst new Gada was forming?
Sorry, I couldn't hear it. What was it?
So Ads put, did you struggle to let go of the old Gada whilst the new Gada was forming? So like the old materialistic life while you was forming that new...
No, actually not really, because like I said, I was not happy with that life. And then when I started boxing and I started this athletic life, I found myself. I was so much happier. Even my kids noticed that I was a lot happier. My husband, my oldest son. So no, not really.
Okay. And last one, Marcus just said, if you do an ultra, he will carry all your stuff in his Gucci bag, so don't worry. Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing that with everyone. I'm sure it was enjoyable. This will be posted onto YouTube as well. So yeah, we will leave it there, Gada. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing. And
thank you.
Yeah, very soon.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.